you trying to do for real? For real.
Cosmic, psychedelic funk is what I came to do. Yep. Hi. I'm sold by funky. Hey. Sold by funky. Hi. I'm sold by cosmic soul.
Hey everybody, this is Alan T. Black and welcome to the Arthur's Authority Lounge, the official TV show for Arthurs.
I'm Nicole Lewis.
I'm Takara Nicole. Hey, how y'all doing?
We want to welcome you to our show for today. We're very honored that we have as our guest for today, Miss Barbara Freeman. We're going to get a chance to hear her story, her journey. And so we just want you to kind of sit back, take some mental notes, write down some notes, however you want to do it. But we intend for you to get some information that's going to be very helpful. And it's going to be of encouragement to you as you look at what you want to do with your journey into authorship. With that having been said, let me properly introduce Ms. Barbara Freeman. Ms. Freeman and I have ties because we worked in education together for about, 20 years or so? I can't even remember how long it's been, but
Yes.
She, in the city of Omaha, is a legendary educator who has impacted significant numbers of students as far as their journey from high school into college. And so we want to thank her for that. But let's talk about the different side of, say, Ms. Barbara Freeman. We'll talk about you, Ms. Freeman, as the author. So tell us who you are. Just kind of give us a little introduction, and we'll kind of chop it up as we go.
All right. After I retired from Omaha Public Schools, I thought that this would free me up to actually write children's books. And it's always been a desire for me to write. I was a second grade teacher prior to being a high school counselor. So when I taught second grade, I would love to see the children's faces light up when you read to them, and especially when you get to a significant part of the story and their eyes light up and you ask questions and they come up with some of the best answers and thoughts about different things that are going on in the story. And I thought to myself, I would like to create some stories with plots that children would like to hear, and they can also learn from the stories. So I decided to write about my first experience that I remember having a dog. My son bought a little puppy home, and we had told him that we were not equipped to have a puppy because we didn't have a fence on our backyard and things like that. And we said we would wait. Well, he's grown and he's living on his own, but he brought the puppy over to our house. And he said he and his girlfriend had purchased the puppy together, but he was concerned because they her family let the puppy out, and the puppy had been hit by a car.
Oh.
Yeah. So when we saw the puppy, we automatically fell in love with the puppy. So we all got on the phone and we researched where to go, where to take the puppy. So we took him, and eventually he had to have a surgery on his leg. So Michael, my son, said, well, I'll take him back to the girlfriend's house. And we said, no, we don't think so. Let her stay here, and after she has the surgery and has her checkup, we'll let her go back. So she didn't have a name yet. So we all decided on a name. Michael had a name. And of course, my husband always wants to name a dog Bow Wow. I don't know why. And she was so sweet. She loved to give kisses, and she loved to lay on your chest while you watch TV. And things. So I said, Sugar. So we all decided to each of us call her name and see which one she comes to.
Oh.
So she came to Sugar, and her name has been Sugar ever since. And she was a pit bull, and you know, sometimes you hear negative things
Yeah.
about. She was absolutely the most intelligent, affectionate dog who loved kittens, people, other dogs, everything.
You can show us that book. Yeah, we would love to
Yes,
see it.
all right. And this
Turn
actually
around a little bit more.
is a photo of Sugar.
Okay.
Yeah. And when we'd take Sugar to the doctor for her checkups, she would kiss the doctors even if they gave her a shot.
Wow.
So they would say she's the only bigger dog they never had to muzzle, put a muzzle on.
I love it.
Wow.
Yeah, Sugar was very special. And as Sugar was coming along, well, let me tell you first, when it was time for Sugar to go back after her recovery, well, she had a bed and she had her own toys, and she even had a television set because she liked to watch TV.
I believe they do that. Yeah, I do that. I believe that.
Yes. So I was packing up her things. She had had her checkup, and I said, "Well, we'll get ready for her to go back. We'll just tell Michael to bring her to visit every weekend." So my husband said, "No, I don't think so." He said, "Sugar will be our dog." And he said, "What will happen?" He says, "We'll buy Michael another dog." And Sugar has to stay here with us.
Oh, wow.
Well, he did not want another dog. Of course, Sugar was his dog.
Yeah.
And our last name is Freeman, so Sugar's last name is Horn, like my son. So she kept his name, and we all had a good time raising her, really.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And my son would say to her sometimes, just to see how intelligent she was, there were some kittens or cats across the street, and he said, "Sugar, go over there and get those kittens and bring them over here." She'd go and nuzzle them and bring them back over, and he said, "Keep them there on the rug." She would do that. And
Wow.
she had lots of favorite things, her favorite treats, and she knew that her favorite meat was steak. And she knew in the freezer downstairs, she knew if someone was down there, she could put her nose on the freezer, and that would mean Sugar wants a steak.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Sugar was spoiled.
Wow.
Yes, she was.
Yes.
So we had T-bones were her favorite.
Wow.
So,
Excuse me.
Right.
So we kept a George Foreman grill out. So we prepare her steak and cut it into little pieces and put it on a saucer for her.
That's so sweet.
And the funny part was, my husband was interviewed by Brian Masters at a TV station because one day after Thanksgiving, he was strolling with a list I had given him through the grocery store, picking up things for Thanksgiving dinner. And someone asked him from the store, "Is there anything I can help you with?" And he said, "Well, yes, I need to know how to find where this is, Cool Whip, and where this is." And he said, "Look on my list at the bottom, it says, a steak for Sugar." And he said, "Usually she prefers T-bones." Well, the guy, Brian Masters, was following him through the store. And when they got to the steak part, at that night on TV, he said, "Sugar, we hope you enjoyed your steak."
That is so cool.
That's so cool. That's awesome.
And they actually used that film strip for a class, for some kind of training
Really?
class at UNO.
Oh, very cool.
So Sugar was popular. She had lots of friends.
Oh.
We'd ride down the street and people would see her from the window and they said, "That's Sugar." I think she probably had more friends than we have. A lot of times people would come to the house and Sugar would greet them, give them a shake, bring them a toy, and she'd sit beside them, hoping that they would play with her.
Oh, wow.
And a lot of times our company would say, whatever kind of dog she is, that's the kind of dog I
I
want.
want.
Thank you.
Yeah.
When I say pit bull, they say, she's a pit bull?
Wow.
I say, yes.
So Sugar, a princess pit bull, finds her family.
Yes.
So after this book, what was next?
Well, you very seldom hear how intelligent pit bulls are. In fact, they're left off a lot of the intellectual skills that they do for dogs. And I put a few scales in here, and it's a super smart Sugar. So I actually gave Sugar first place in the column.
Very cool.
Yes, and there's a lot of different things which we can go over with the children. And if they have different breeds of dogs, it will tell them what place their dog actually took in some intellectual contest.
Oh, very cool.
Okay, hold up the pictures there, Barbara.
Yeah, I was hoping to come right to the page. Well, then at the very back, though, Sugar will have her own test to see how smart their dogs are.
Beautiful.
And when I went to OPS, a lot of times the children would say they use the test on cats too.
Oh,
On their
wow.
own cats to see how smart they are.
That's awesome.
Give them a few seconds sometimes to cover up a treat or whatever, and then see how fast they find the treat or what method they use.
I love it.
Yes.
Nicole.
But let me see if I can find that scale real quick. This is Sugar's quiz to see
She
how
got a
smart the
quiz?
dog is.
I love it.
Yes.
I love the fact that it's an interactive book
Yeah.
because when I was a librarian, when I would read books, we had to come up with our own activities.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yes. So this helps.
So yeah, definitely.
And this is a legitimate intelligence test, but of course they left the pit bull off. But and it tells you what categories, what they look at, how agile they are, how quick they find different things.
Very cool.
But the number one dog was the border collie, and the kids could go through it, and poodle is the second. So they go through and find out how smart their dogs are. Yes, and there's a place for them to draw, to put the breed of their dog,
Oh, very good.
and then actually, then actually say something about what makes their dog smart.
Uh-huh.
And this, it tells that Sugar is actually an American Pit Bull Terrier, and they can put the breed of their dog and some smart things that their dog does.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
What was the next book that you did after that one?
Okay, I left Sugar.
Okay.
And then I went to trying to encourage or uplift the self-esteem of African American young ladies with a darker color hue than they see on TV and in magazines a lot of times.
Yeah.
So this one is actually called Mirror Mirror, and it takes place in Omaha, Nebraska, and there's actually an address there. But Tina looks into the mirror, and she never feels that she's pretty because of commercialism.
Yeah.
mainly.
Yeah.
And the mirror happens to be a special mirror. The mirror rocks, shakes, and it actually raps. So the mirror raps to her.
Oh, like a rapper?
Yeah.
That is so cool. I
Okay.
love it.
And he asked her to look deep inside and tell him who is the prettiest girl he knows.
Oh, wow.
Well, she thinks about it, but she thinks about a young lady in a commercial. And she says, oh, I know who's the prettiest girl. She's a new actress with long blonde hair.
And look
that
how
moves
mean the
and
mirror
moves.
is like, no, you got it wrong.
The,
Like,
the
no.
mirror
I didn't see
said
that
no.
part.
Yes, the mirror's like, no, try again.
No, the mirror says, no, pots and pans, rat-a-tat-tat. No, not at all. Until you learn some things about yourself. He says, I'll come back and I'll ask you again.
Okay.
Well, luckily, her neighbors picked her out as being one of the kindest kids on the block. And they said, well, she fell off her bike in front of their house. And they ran to help her. And she said to him, well, why did you pick me out to be one of your favorite people?
Wow.
And they said, we watch how you act with other children.
Yeah.
You always wave and speak to us. And we think that you're one of the kindest young ladies that we had the opportunity to meet.
That is so neat. Very well put together and very important, you know, as African American girls specifically. Sometimes we just don't believe that we're pretty because of, you know, like your book says, you know, what society says and all the things. So it kind of moves us into your next book, your Black History book.
Yes, well, this one also has history in it. This is Rascal, the little dog I had at the time after Sugar passed, a little Maltese. And that's a story within itself. I went to the Humane Society to get another pit bull, but I came home with Rascal because he just begged me to come over, and then he stood beside me in the cage. It was like he picked me.
Okay.
So when I came home, there were some disappointed men, my husband and my son. And they said, I told you to get a real dog. I thought you was going to get a pit bull.
Yeah.
I said, well, he is a real dog. That night I put little Rascal in the little bed beside our bed with a big cushion on it. But when we woke up, he was snuggled up under my husband. And my husband had said, oh, we're taking him back. So when I got up, my husband put the leash and the collar on him. And I said, oh, we're taking him back now? And he said, no, he's our dog now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
He changed his mind.
I'm taking him for a walk, he said.
Yeah. Well, we want to get back into your Black History book for the sake of time in the show.
Oh, okay.
Tell us a little bit about your
Well,
newest book here.
she did learn some history
Okay.
from the neighbors.
Oh, okay.
And
I
that
see
kind
C.J.
of
Walker in there. Okay.
helped
Ma'am,
build
C.J.
her
Walker.
self-esteem.
Awesome.
Okay.
There's some little-known people like this teacher who led some sit-ins with her child and her classmates where they actually opened up the cafeteria to a few Black people. And of course, the last time, you can really look at her face and see she had a confirmation. And he asked her who was the prettiest girls. She said, it's me, Tina Thomas. I'm the prettiest girl that I know. And she felt good about all the creative people that came before and all the things that they did to help make life a little better for her. And then it says, when the leaves fall, she recognizes brown as being a beautiful color because Black people come in all shades of brown. And everybody is beautiful. But anyway, this is a good one. And like you said, the history one is Black history. There's 12 biographies, 6 female historians, and 6 male historians. But again, I tried to use a few that were little known. And now one of the ones I chose was Sarah Rector, a 11-year-old girl who had inherited some land
Yes.
in Oklahoma. And the land that they gave most of the people who her grandparents had been slaves. And so they decided to give those slaves a little bit of property because they were released. And the grandmother passed her property on to Sarah, but they thought all the land was dry and no good. But anyway, Standard Oil found oil on her property. And by the time she was 11 years old, there was all kinds of newspaper coverage saying the richest black girl in America lives in Oklahoma. Well, there were threats on her life and things of that nature. And George Washington Carver came from Tuskegee to her family and said, let's put both your daughters in school at Tuskegee. And she went and she became a teacher, but she had to live the rest of her life in hiding because there were so many people who were threatening her life.
Wow.
So she ended up buying a mansion in Kansas City, Missouri, and marrying a baseball player there. And she contributed so much money to not only Tuskegee, but lots of things that would help and enhance the black community. And they said a lot of times she had jazz entertainers and people coming to her house. And her and her husband loved to entertain. And my husband and I went down and took pictures of the house. It's still in Kansas City. And then they considered a mansion a 4 to 5 bedroom house. And she had 5 bedrooms there.
Yeah, if she had 5 bedrooms in that time frame we're talking about, that was definitely considered to be a mansion. You mentioned there are 12 different authors in there. And this young lady, if I do remember correctly, isn't there a movie out about her right now?
Right now, the movie is showing, and it's called Sarah's Oil.
That's right.
And she stays at the age of 11 throughout
the movie.
Yes. And it's very interesting, and really, the movie is on point to the story that I researched and found the information about. They didn't change much because actually her neighbors, a boy and girl, were killed because they thought that they were taking the life of Sarah and her sibling. And that's really a terrible way to live, and to be able to, to have money, but you have to live in hiding.
Yeah.
And they say a lot of the pictures of her may not be the real pictures of her. So
Barbara, I have a quick question for you.
yes.
As an author, what would be something that you would say to other authors that are just starting out their journey?
I would say write everything, anything you feel like writing. What I would do, I like to write in the morning where it seems like a good time, nobody's up, and you have lots of thoughts. I say keep a journal and just write. And if there's something that you're really interested in, write about that first. Something that you're passionate about. And sometimes I would find an idea would come to me and I didn't have my journal, and I write down on little pieces of paper. So I end up carrying the papers and all, and then putting them together in the journal. But sometimes I go to, before COVID, I went to a lot of classrooms, and I worked with 2nd and 3rd graders on writing, to write their own books and things of that nature. And I tell them, tell me some of the things that you're passionate about, that you really feel strongly about. And they tell me, and I said, well, let's write about that. You go home and you start writing. Because everybody has at least a book or two that they can write about.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm doing what I finally felt passionate
And
about.
let me give you props too, because you probably don't remember, it's probably about 6 or 7 years ago, if not longer, that I actually ran into Barbara at a restaurant here in Omaha, and she was telling me she had just written her 3rd book. And we talked very briefly, and I remember that moment, Ms. Freeman, because of the fact that after you had left, I kind of sat there for a minute. I said, you know what? I can do this. So I give you a lot of credit because you were inspiring to me to get out there and say, I can't think about what I can't do. I need to focus on what it is I can do. And so I want to thank you for that. So we're getting down to about 2 minutes. So it's been fascinating. I don't know how you guys have felt about this, but so we know what the future holds, but what's next beyond the Black History book? And we'll also have you share and where can we get your contact information, because you're fascinating and your story and your journey is something that other people are going to want to follow through with.
Okay, because I do help a lot of young writers that I've met, and I help them to get started and tell them the things that I use to help me. And to me, I started off because I wasn't familiar with the publishers that you send your typed manuscript to, and I didn't know that you need a fascinating letter to go along with it. But I bought the book called The Writer's Market, and there's one for children writers. And they put it out every 2 to 3 years because they update the information about the publishers. And in the book, they tell you exactly what the publisher is looking for before you mail out your manuscripts. And I mailed out about 30 with the first book. But you see, I've stuck with the same publisher for all 4 books. But you can change, you can do what you like. But the Writer's Market is a great guide. It tells you how to write the query letter to the publisher and how to make it interesting. And it gives the addresses. And say I'm writing about dogs. And if they don't want anything about that, they'll write right in the book, no more dog stories. Or I'm particularly looking for books about people getting along, not bullying and things
Barbara,
like that.
before we wrap up, where could they find your books at?
Okay, my books are all on Amazon. They can be purchased there, and through Laredo Publishing Company, they give discounts to people who buy more than 4 or 5. And the first 2 is also at Barnes and Noble, because Laredo had a business partnership with Barnes and Noble, and there was a time I could travel to any Barnes
So
and Noble
Barbara, as
store.
we are now a little bit over time, thank you guys for joining us today at the Authors Authority Lounge. We appreciate you coming, getting to know Miss Barbara and her adventures with her animals, as well as her adventures into the history. Once again, I'm Nicole Lewis.
I'm Alan Black.
Takara Nicole, and we are out. See you guys later.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
What you trying to do for real? For real.
Cosmic psychedelic funk is what I came to do. Yep.